Hello, everyone. Welcome to Web3 Marketing Podcast. I'm Dasha, and this is a very exciting episode for me. I'm going to talk to one more lady from World of Women today. Hi, Diana. It's so nice to have you here.
Hi, Dasha. It's nice to be here. Thank you for having us.
We're going to do an episode about partnerships, which is basically one of the most important things in Web3 growth, right? It's like community and partnerships. If you have this, then you basically can rock it all. And Diana is responsible for partnerships in the World of Women. World of Women is an awesome organization that helps to onboard people to Web3. It's very inclusive and it's also a lot of fun. And it involves, I think, a super strong NFT game that you guys are doing. But I want to give you a moment to introduce World of Women properly in your own words.
Yeah, absolutely. So, World of Women is the leading mission Web3 community standing for inclusion. And it's incredible in how that in less than 2 years, we've grown a community of 400,000 creators and builders, and we've done over $350 million in sales. And our community includes major creators like Reese, Eva, Shonda, Madonna, thousands of artists who've connected and grown with us and had fun through our iconic events, art contests, and curation and partnerships that we've had and are coming up.
This is awesome. So, can I say that it's like two handshakes till Madonna for me now? Like with you and you with Madonna?
Yeah, I mean, if you're part of the network, then yes, we are connected to Madonna.
Awesome, awesome. I really want to be connected to Madonna. This is great. I'm excited. Welcome to Web3 Marketing Podcast. I'm Dasha, and this is our second season supported by Internet Computer. We're interviewing Web3 founders and marketing leaders from around the world. Tune in to listen to their insights and real Web3 marketing cases. Could you please introduce what exactly are you doing in World of Women? What's your role? What's your scope of work?
Yes, so I initially started off as a partnerships project and marketing manager. And then kind of being part of the startup kind of environment, you end up doing a little bit more beyond your responsibilities. So I've been able to kind of build this relationship network connections with partners outside of our community. And I was able to get recognized for my contribution at the team. And now I am currently the head of strategic accounts. So I manage key accounts and also help with BD outreach and also inbounds that we get for the brand.
Awesome. Cool. So if I would want to partner with World of Women and I would reach out to you, I would, you would be the one talking to me.
Yes, you can talk to me or you can talk to the team. Actually, there's Discord. You can tag the moderators. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or anyone on the team. And yeah, and we're able to kind of assess the situation and see if there's a benefit for our community because they are what brought us here. And then we can talk.
Awesome. We're going to cover it a little bit later. What are the companies and brands you partner with, how to become your partner, and so on. Just a little bit later, a little teaser. But first, I want to talk a little bit about you as a partnership manager, as a marketer, about your own experience.
So my career path is kind of not straight. So I've got some turns and because my background initially comes from sciences, I was pursuing a medical path before, but then took a step back and kind of listened to my intuition and gut and say, what do I really want to do? So then I pursued consulting because I wanted to put my science and analytical skills to use. So I consulted for the top 50 pharmaceutical companies at the brand that I was working for. And then afterwards, I was like, okay, what else can I do that could be more impactful? So pivoted to med tech and I started working at a med tech startup that does virtual healthcare, which was really needed during the pandemic. And then I was working in partnerships at the time. And I had the privilege of managing our most important relationship at the time and realized that, this relationship work, understanding priorities, building this trust is something that I think I'm good at. So I wanted to kind of pursue this. And this is where I also understood that I also appreciated art and also emerging tech at the time. So decided to pivot and go into emerging tech, Web3, NFTs, and here I am, really kind of bridging the skills that I built from, the analytical consulting and partnership experience from a former work career. And I'm here now.
How did it happen that you joined World of Women?
Yes. So I was working full time at my former job, which was at the med health tech startup at the time, and kind of discovered NFTs by accident. My partner at the time, and also my friends in Australia that I did a trip on, they were very into crypto. And I was like, okay, it was like a little bit doubtful at first. And, because of the environment being a little bit tricky. But then I saw my friends in Australia kind of pursuing this, and their girlfriends, they're very successful. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to kind of learn and study at the same time. And discovered that this space is very good at lowering entry of opportunity. So I was like, okay, so the learning curve is still, pretty achievable. There's no really standard at the time to really be in this space. So I figured, why not just dive deep into this space with my friends because I trust them and we can share our learnings together. And then we got a wow together. And and then I was like, okay, I'm part of the ecosystem now. And once the opportunity job posting for World of Women popped up, I jumped for it and I put in all my efforts, my experience to showcase how my role at the time really fit with the current role now and how it could be a blend with my experiences in Web3 because I was also doing part time working for other projects like Wild Pixies, my BFF, and Hug as a curator at the time.
Awesome. So it is really the best advice for job hunting, right? You just got to go and
Yes.
join the communities of all of your favorite projects and companies and brands and just be there and, the opportunities will start coming.
Yeah, and to not be afraid to learn, right? And it might seem daunting because there's not really like a step-by-step manual in terms of how to get into the space. And I really encourage finding a circle of friends or a network that you really trust so that you can ask these kind of questions, or even a community like World of Women to kind of dive into this space and feel free to ask for questions, but then also take educated risks, right? And then that way you learn, you might make some mistakes. I did get scammed on my first transaction when I first got into the space. But thankfully, I didn't have anything in my wallet. So I created a new one. But yeah, it's really just like be willing to learn, make educated risks, find a trusted circle or brand and community, and then dive deep. And you're going to find your path.
I'm going to ask you a personal question. Do you still feel like you're helping people as much as you used to, even though you switched from health tech to Web3?
That's a very good question. So in this sense, I am helping in a different industry, right? So where I was at in the consulting area that I was really helping out understanding the scope of, physicians and and the medical practice, patients and pharmaceuticals, like what's the best way forward. And then at the med tech is really trying to find, access to and providing services and partnerships to getting healthcare, right? Services. So, in a sense where if I it's different in a sense where I'm not directly helping on a healthcare aspect, but with the current job that I'm at World of Women, I do feel that being able to push the envelope of opportunities for women in different industries where we are underrepresented. This is where I'm feeling that I'm being most helpful by bridging these partnerships where we thought wasn't possible and making people see that yes, it is possible because we are a trusted brand. And like there's no boundaries. As long as you can dream it, find an actionable plan to do it. And the thing is, I think what I've also learned as I kind of navigate these new territories altogether is that you just reach out, right? You just never know what comes back to you.
Let's talk a little bit about the cases you have at World of Women, in terms of partnerships. So Gary Vee, Madonna, Reese Witherspoon, these are the people that are supporting. But you're also probably doing partnership with brands and companies. If you could describe like the types of partnerships that you've done so far, what would it be?
The types of partnerships that we have. So I think just to kind of give a bit of context. So, like knowing how this space evolves so fast, right? In 2021, you could have just launched an NFT collection, sold out, and done really well, right? And now I think as holders, they've realized, for the money that's been invested or spent in to kind of believe in either what the brand at the time launched and with whichever project it was, they realized that there should be some kind of benefit or kind of there more to that than just selling out a project. So there should be a roadmap that's actually actionable. So for us, like we try to partner with brands that not only give us the kind of visibility in mainstream because we would like to have World of Women out there and be like, oh yes, that's a World of Women. It has a solid foundation in bring representation, inclusion in emerging tech already. And being able to then have these brands lean on a trusted brand in this space as the space evolves and has all these different transitions. So these are the kind of partnerships that we try to have where, we try to start small, experiment, grow, but then very importantly, try to build an ongoing, authentic relationship with the community at the same time because we're all growing together. And we try to also partner with big brands, but then at the same time, these traditional brands, they have a lot of logistics to go through. So the timeline you can see can clash, right? Because Web3 moves very fast, but these traditional brands that we are used to in Web2 have a longer timeline. So it's having this kind of delicate balance where we understand each other's needs. We built this fundamental trust together, and then we do the work with integrity. So that way the trust is further established and then being able to then provide the kind of values that our community wants. So through priceless experiences like we did with MasterCard, Messi Barcelona, and Cloudy Bay.
So you're basically balancing between the desire to bring a lot of value to your community and bring fast and bring regularly and something that's like relevant to them, and at the same time partnering with really big brands which like can't make it all as fast as you want it to be, right? So it's always kind of a struggle, I guess, of this process. But so far, I think you guys doing really well. Could you share like maybe 2 3 different cases that you like the most? We can start with like one that you have in mind right now.
Yeah, so kind of like the baby for me is FC Barcelona, for example. It really comes down to the fundamental of giving and you will receive. So how this connection was made initially is with World of Women Gala in Miami, Art Basel last year. So we held our event, which is our inaugural gala that the community's been asking for due to, the beautiful traits that Yam has designed, the tuxedo, the gala dress. So it evolved with the community asking for a gala, and we were able to execute this during Art Basel last year. And it was so beautiful to see the community dress up in galactic theme and their wow or wow G's that they represented and just really celebrate community together and inclusion and feeling safe. So that really helped us stand out. And then this is how we got discovered by FC Barcelona is that our contact at the time, he was walking along at the beach of at Miami Beach, and he saw the big wows that were kind of spotlighted on the building of the venue. So he connected with me on LinkedIn, and it took months of like worked like kind of planning to make sure it happens because of we understand the different approval processes that has to happen. But it was like a no-brainer for them to work with World of Women because of what we stand for and because of both of our aligned values and missions from both the FC Barcelona standpoint and also World of Women standpoint. It just made sense to partner together. So we patiently worked all together, we ideated together, and during the bear market, it's still I still have to like let this sink in is that during the bear market, we were able to empower women in sports using Alexia Putellas, who is their leading female player on the team, with a one of one auction masterpiece that sold for $300,000 at the time, American. So, it just says a lot about meaningful partnerships. And regardless of the market that you're in, if there's significance to it, the community will recognize it.
So I guess when this person was walking down the beach, he was like, "Oh, these guys are playing it as big as us. We gotta be friends, right?"
It was really nice. Yeah. So it's like giving to the community and then being able to see this kind of work become fruitful. And what also makes it very important is that we were also able to recognize one of our community members, Ray, who is the artist behind the artwork, which is I think a very important point to point out because as I said before, Web3 is a space where opportunity barriers are lowered. And, having her work on this project with us, it's given her different opportunities as well now.
Yeah, different kind of spotlight, I guess. Yeah, that's really cool that you get a partner with big projects and you take someone on board with you. I think
Mhm.
this is the way
Yeah.
to do it.
And ideally, we want to scale this more. So it's not just not being able to target one community member at a time, but more.
Yeah. What was the offer, in this partnership that you were giving to the community? Both of your communities, I guess, right? Because it
Yes.
was kind of like a cross promotion.
Yeah. So in the first phase, it was really just to have this spotlight on women in sports, particularly soccer. And we were able to rally our communities together to, it was really nice to see the community feel recognized by such a large football brand. And then also for on Barca's end, it's for them to further reach out to their global audience because these soccer games, football games, they're very localized, right, in the stadium, and not can't necessarily reach out to those who are out of the country. And so that way was another way for them to reach out to a broader audience and reach out to a trusted brand like World of Women. And then as part of our second activation shortly after, Barca invited the World of Women community to their Discord to actually witness and experience the first live stream on a decentralized platform like Discord to watch a female football soccer game play live. And this is because of the increasing popularity and attention towards women in sports and emerging tech. So we were really proud of this second activation together.
So they like that they streamed their own game on their Discord for your community members, right?
And their community members as well. Yeah. And then what made it extra special is that for those who attended the game and live stream, they were able to claim a POAP because it is a significant milestone in a sense where typically these games there's a lot of licensing rights that block us from being able to live stream these games online. So we were able to have our community claim these POAPs, but also have a special Discord role on the FCB Discord.
Awesome. So it's a this one was about the experience, right? Giving your community member a very cool, very unique experience and recognition and the spotlight and like making new friends, touching something new that some of them never watched the football or like not familiar with this team. This is awesome. This episode is supported by Internet Computer, and we want to tell you about their amazing DFINITY grant program. We've actually received their community grant ourselves. So, if you are a developer, researcher, or educator working on blockchain or AI technology, you can receive this grant too. The Affinity Grant Program can give you up to $100,000 in funding, as well as support and exposure through the ICP ecosystem. You can read more about the grant in the description down below. And if you decide to apply, fill out our form. We will chat with everyone who applies and recommend the best projects to ICP. Don't miss this chance to get funding and join the community of innovators. Could you share one more example that's a bit different?
That's a bit different. I would say pivoting from sports to more of the art, creative, and priceless experiences. Again, it's with Mastercard. So what was different is that with Mastercard, we were invited to participate at Cannes Lions, which is kind of like the Oscars of marketing. They wanted to create a priceless experience for the audience, listening to their CMO and CFO talk about happy tension, and they partnered with World of Women and had us source a diverse artist, and her name is Kelly from Colombia, to create an amazing piece live on stage. And then that piece was then gifted to the audience who listened to the talk. And once the audience realized that they were gifted an NFT, which is very different from the typical talks at at this event, they audibly gasped. And it's a kind of like a game changing opportunity for not only just a community member, but also creating more meaningful experiences for her life, but and also deepen our partnership with Mastercard, so that we keep on aiming for priceless experiences and something that our community members can come out feeling special. Because one thing that really resonates with us, especially for me, is that we can have this conversation, but we might not necessarily remember what was said. But what we will remember is how we felt after the conversation. So it's really important for us as a brand to make our community feel special and recognized. And how can we do that? We can, consider physical goods, we can consider other things like online raffles or online gifts. But I think experiences is what can really cement one's memory. And this is what we try to pursue.
I think this is kind of a unique approach to this, to be honest, because I also work like I cover partnerships just a little bit. And my job, besides the podcast and within the podcast, it's also kind of my job to, partner with World of Women, for example, and do these episodes. So I think most of the people, when they're thinking about partnerships, they're kind of on the level of, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you A, right? And you're going to give us B. And like, we're going to gift A to your community, you're going to gift B to my community, right? Or like, let's put together money and like do a raffle, this kind of stuff. This is the most standard approach to this, but I think your view is much bigger. Was World of Women always aiming at this level of things, or you started from simple partnerships as well?
I think we've always had this kind of impression that we wanted to give off. I mean, if you, like, as a holder back then before I joined the team, learning from Yam's experience where she recognized that there wasn't enough women in the space early on, she decided to, developed this whole project at the time with 10K women PFPs, right? So that they can feel represented, feel special, and that we have a place early on in the stage. So this experience, this feeling, I think has already been established from the core based on Yam's vision and her intentions. So I think it just kind of spirals from that. And then, as we try to deepen the relationships that we have with our community and our partners, ultimately, I think we had just align on the core fundamentals that are around this kind of experience, feeling, and wanting them to feel recognized and special.
Do you ever have doubts if the community is going to like the experience, the idea, the offer that you're going to do inside of your partnership? Because I do have this sometimes, especially as a community manager. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to prepare this for community, a new contest. And I'm always questioning myself, will they actually like it? Maybe they will hate it, even though I know them really well because I spend a lot of time with them. But do you have these kind of doubts?
Of course, all the time, because ultimately you can't please everyone. Everyone will have their thoughts and opinions, and this is where it gets part of that brainstorming phase of the partnership where you ideate a lot and you consult with the community, you consult with the team internally, and then through the moderators to kind of like get a feeler in terms of the appetite, but also taking into consideration the current market as well, right? So taking all of these aspects into consideration, this is where you kind of weigh out the pros and cons. And then understanding also the timelines from the partner that you're having conversation with. That's why it's important to start small so that you can always grow from that.
Do you have any educational activities or like even like kind of material things, more practical things, more down to earth things in your partnerships?
Yes, we did have a partnership with Ledger. It was like I think late Q4 around December timeline where we had these exclusive World of Women ledgers. And in order for a community to claim them for free, it was important for them to pass the security education quiz that we created with Ledger and kind of instill, the fundamentals of Web3 security and education. So yeah, so we do have like these kind of experiences with educational, but then they also get a physical good claim for free.
If I asked you about like a playbook for partnerships, if maybe you were having a coffee with a young founder of a Web3 startup or community, and he's like, Diana, how to do partnerships? I'm struggling. I don't know where to start from. What would you say?
Okay, so I think the first one would be to know the values of the project or the company that you're founding. This way, it's kind of foundational where you can network and connect with brands or people or influencers with the same or similar mindset. And then afterwards, with because of this, it kind of like builds towards kind of mutual communities with similar mindsets as well. So that way, kind of the audiences that you're both trying to reach, it makes sense. So that's 3 points. And then the fourth point, I would say it's also important to work really hard, right? Because obviously, I feel like the harder and smarter you work, the luckier you get. But it's also important to market yourself properly, right? Because you can do all this beautiful work, but then if it's not marketed or presented properly, nobody will know about it.
Could you elaborate on this? What do you mean to market properly? Like, what's a bad marketing and proper marketing in your way?
So, World of Women is presented as a safe brand. And, it could sound a little bit boring, but I think is for us, it's really important for us to kind of have this trust and reputation ingrained in this space because it's very much needed for us in order to build these very strong trusted relationship with these partners who are looking to explore and dip their toes in this space. So it's really about the kind of impression and the image that you want to give off in order to find a marketing or kind of like a niche need or maybe a broader need depending on what your company is in order for the audience that you're trying to target to resonate and feel emotionally connected to your brand so that they can either support whatever you're trying to sell or build together.
So it was more about the kind of strategic voice rather than the amount of tweets that you push, right?
Oh, that I would have to defer to the marketing team for the exact algorithm there and strategy. But I think it's like you have to kind of define the balance there. And I know there's one of our holders, Ashley, and I remember one of the talks that we had for her at Wow Wednesdays is that she actually studies the kind of tweets or the kind of posts that she publishes, and she identifies which ones do well with her social circle, and then from that analytical kind of analysis, she's able to then produce more of the type of successful tweets that will help her build her following. So I think you have to do a bit of kind of research there in order to really find the perfect blend for the brand or company that you're building.
Yeah, I would want to join that. Well, Wednesday, definitely to listen about this. It's everybody's pain. Everybody's pain to grow on Twitter authentically.
Yeah, I would highly recommend listening to. I think it's recorded, so you're able to kind of look into what she said. But yeah, Wow Wednesdays, it's hosted by Kashvi. We highlight holders in our community who are able to share their experiences and their stories.
Yeah, Kashvi is pretty amazing. We had her on the podcast already. We already did the episode. So if you guys listening to this, go look for another episode we did with World of Women and listen about the excellent community building that they're doing and all the hacks and tips and the advice and cases. Okay, so I wanted to ask you about the practical things, like, the outreach, or you just like, you kind of do your thing and you wait till partners come to you, or you need to be very proactive and you target different companies and you do the outreach and you message people on Twitter or LinkedIn and you start making connections and discussing the partnerships. Like, what's the what's the recipe?
In terms of the recipe, I think we're fortunate to have a lot of inbound, but we also we do quarterly goal planning and in terms of like pipelines of what we like to achieve for the community. And then that way, what kind of partnerships we like to target. So we do a lot. We do also like outbounds, outreaches, and whoever reaches back, we're able to then continue a conversation as well. It's also important for us to go to these kind of different conferences to also meet with like-minded brands as well, to be able to have that in-person connection. We recently launched our own product called Patio, which is our own platform to further deepen community engagement because we realize the demographic of our community. A lot of them are professional, full-time, not necessarily in Web3, and they often let us know that the amazing partnerships that we have gets lost in the noise of Discord, Twitter, and social media. And they'd like to have a one-stop shop where, they can further communicate, connect with the community, but also learn what's happening with the partners, but also give a proper platform for our partners to get their visibility. So this is where we're building off right now in terms of building more partnerships there so that our community can experience more unique experiences that's just really exclusive for them.
This is really cool. Yeah, I remember Kashmir mentioned that it's already live.
Yes, we have the beta version that's live. So if you have a WoW or a WoW G, create your profile and feel free to explore. We also have a personality quiz that identifies you to a specific World of Women planet. And then your profile will get customized to the color scheme of the planet that you're identified with. It's really cool.
Oh, I really want to try this one. Awesome. Awesome. So, I'm trying to usually during the episodes, I'm trying to ask the questions really new to the game founders could use the advice, right? Because obviously experienced like builders and marketers, they're listening to us, But I think mostly the ones who are like not confident yet, just starting, for them, this kind of episode would be the most valuable. So if you were coaching someone who's just starting with partnerships, like on a really simple go to plan, my guess would you say something that like you need to define your ideal partners, what would be the value you're going to give them, what would be the value that they can give you, and you need to do the outreach, and the mix would be like start online and do like heavy online, but also try to get out there in the offline and make personal connections because they obviously work better. Would it be something like this, or would you add something else or maybe change something?
I think it's the blend of also considering how they can learn more about this space. So there's obviously the evolution of AI, right? Which, ChatGPT, you enter your query and then you can learn. So the kind of like the learning curve to education about Web3 has diminished significantly because of the evolution of AI. So I would encourage them to kind of be also develop their toolkit of resources that they can refer to in times of need, in times of questions, so that they can best prepare for their conversations as well. I'm also doing your due diligence on the person that you're going to be connecting with, know a little bit more about their professional life, and also maybe their interests as well. So that way, if there are mutual interests, you can further connect on this point. Especially if you're going to be engaging in the Web3 space, you always need to have the community in mind because it is a decentralized environment. And it's important to really consider the evolving needs of what your targeted community is interested in.
I understand that partnerships are very important for World of Women, right? But do you mix it with other types of promotion, like maybe paid promotion?
With different kinds of partnerships, we have our cross-functional teams like marketing communications that come into place. It's very tailored to the type of partnership that we're going to execute. But on an overall high level for the brand wise, I do know that we do have newsletters that come out every week to keep our communities up to date in terms of what's happening at World of Women, as well as a leadership recap of what we've done over the last month so that our community know that we are working hard to deliver for them.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense that it's, a combination of things, but does it feel inside like the partnership is the most important thing? I'm just trying to understand like how important it is? Because sometimes different channels they have kind of the same weight, or in a lot of consumer online businesses, paid marketing is really, really important and partnerships are kind of less important and more like considered
Mm.
a PR thing. But I feel like my guess is that partnerships for you and for Web3 companies in general are important.
Yes, especially as I had mentioned earlier, for us as a brand, we are trying to be more visible in the mainstream audience. So, in order for this to happen, for us, one of the strategy for us is through partnerships and through meaningful partnerships that will give us that kind of visibility in return with with whichever activation that ends up being executed with the said partner. So yes, if you want to be more visible in the mainstream audience, this is one of our strategies. But otherwise, if you're already an established brand, you don't necessarily need to do partnerships. You could just deliver with your own products or services that you're recognized for.
Yeah, but now it makes sense to me. Thanks for mentioning, that you have this goal. It's a perfect strategy for that. Why would you go and I don't know, pay for Facebook ads trying to explain everyone out there what's your community about, what's Web3 is about, NFTs, etc., etc. If you can just go and talk through some brand that they already trust and just give them something like an experience, something useful and so on, and involve them that way, that makes total sense that this is better, even though I'm pretty sure the efforts you have to give are enormous.
As owners, like we part of the team, we are also owners, holders of World of Women. And it is important for us to not only establish our physical presence and how we identify ourselves, physically, but also online. And how we do that is to be able to create experiences and like I said, being able to feel proud and grateful to be part of a brand that's working towards building that recognition for the community.
Thanks for sharing this one. What are the don'ts when you're building the partnerships? What are the things you should not do? What are the fails?
I will personally call out some potential inbounds that we've received, but I think it's important, even in the outbounds or outreaches that I do, I think it's kind of pivoting the don'ts to a do. It's more like Be able to offer propositions after doing due diligence on the brand that you want to partner with so that it makes sense for them, right? Don't just reach out to be like, hey, I want to partner with you and leave it there. You have to kind of bring deeper significance to make a lasting impression. So that way it encourages the interest, further that conversation. So I think that's kind of a big do in terms of like be able to offer a proposition that makes sense for both you and the partner that you want to connect with.
But it's also tricky. It means that I will have to explain, but I want to keep it short.
Mhm.
So here you have to be like a master of copywriting, really like, polishing that copy. So in 2 sentences, the person can understand, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
at the same time, to keep it short.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, stay concise, like you had mentioned. And also just, it's just being able to be personable, but also it's like an art of communication, right? So, it comes with practice and you learn through the mistakes that you might make and will always be more opportunities.
What is the way to kind of push through, the concerns and doubts you might have if you're trying to reach out to much bigger brand, much bigger community, much bigger project?
I think as women, there is a tendency to really underestimate our abilities, right? So I think ultimately it's just to go for it. And you don't know what will come back to you because ultimately everyone has their own needs, their own walks of life that they're in. And sometimes the path might just cross in a line. So yeah, just I think it's just really being able to practice that, you are deserving and just go for it and reach out and you never know what may come back.
Is there something that you kind of working on in terms of your own growth as someone who's leading partnerships and building relationships and like, you know, driving the growth of such a big community?
Yes, what I'm working on personally is also how I communicate, as it's always something that I need to work on. And ultimately, being able to also learn from the learnings, being more self aware. I think ultimately, if you're more self aware, you're able to recognize subtleties a little bit more in terms of not only yourself, but also those who you interact with. And then that way you can foster and strategize how potentially ideas can form together.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with this one. I'm trying to do that as well. So I feel you. Let's wrap it up with an important moment that I want to discuss is what's coming next for World of Women in terms of partnerships. And if you can share some, I don't know, spoilers or tease us a little bit, because I know your community will be listening to the episode. And also, everyone who's not a part of World of Women, you can go and buy an NFT and become a member and get access to all of the partnerships and, these future things that Diane is going to mention right now.
Yeah, so at this current time, we have our very exciting partnership with Monopoly.
Ooh, this is the one for me. Board game lovers.
Yes, and it's a long time coming. Our physical goods and events manager, Serena and Shannon, and the marketing team, comms team, it's been a huge team effort to work this out all together. And besides that, besides physical goods, we do have two events coming up. We do have an event that we will be doing at Art Basel this year, and then our temple event that will be happening, our gala, very shortly. So we will announce this when the time comes. My lips are sealed for now.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, a very big pleasure to do an episode with you. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. It's been really, really great. And especially for sharing the cases. I think we're going to all learn from that. And I really hope that you're going to get a dozen of more new requests for partnerships from people who will be listening to this episode.
Thank you so much, Dasha, for having us. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, like and follow us for more. We also have a newsletter and a Telegram channel. Check it out at web3marketingpodcast.com. See you in the next episode.